Okay, so let's jump into this video and talk about working with our security features and our import and comparison features we're going to be finding in our Motec software. So when we want to restrict access for people looking at our Motec, we're able to put a password on the Motec so no one can get into the Motec at all. We're also able to go in and put passwords on or restrictions on going in and looking at data logs, specific channels in our data logs, or allowing somebody to access the ability to even take the data log out of the Motec. So I'm going to be walking you through all the different security features and options we have. You may want to implement that with your Motec. Now we also find we have the ability to import certain tables in the Motec from another calibration file. So if we're working with, let's say, a main fuel table, and we find that the modifications on our vehicle is very similar to another vehicle, but we're going to be finding that we don't want to go in and create or use that particular file. We want to use the file that we have. Our inputs and outputs are all different, and we don't want to go in and have all that configuration to go over again. We can simply import the main fuel table or the main spark timing table into our calibration. We're also able to go in and use a compare feature, so we can compare two different files and see all of the differences between two files. So let's just say you're tuning and you have a revision that's earlier in the tuning process and you're not sure what you changed between your current and that old file. We can use the comparison feature, and it's going to be pinpointing us the exact things that have been changed between two different files. So whether you're going to be looking at your tune or you're going to be looking at maybe another tuner's tune, you want to compare some things, we can find this feature is really invaluable. It can save you a lot of time. So without further wait, let's jump in so we can check out all these features. Okay, so let's get started here. We're going to be taking a look at working with our security feature and a couple other miscellaneous features in our software that we haven't gotten to discuss yet in our training series. So the very first thing we're going to be taking a look at here is going to be a compare feature. Now if we jump up into tools here, we're going to be finding we have this compare, and we find we can select a file here for our comparison. Now the compare feature is going to take two different files, and we're going to be able to see the difference between them. Now we could go in the calibration notes. When we're saving our file, we have the ability to leave notes so we could see what the calibration is about, but that may not show us all the details that we might have between two different file types. So if we're creating a file, let's say we're doing a dyno run 1 and we're all the way on a revision maybe 10 on the dyno, we might not remember what we did on revision 1 or revision 2, even though it might be in the calibration notes. Or if we're in a situation where we have someone else's map and we're trying to compare and look at the difference between what we have created, we're not going to know anything that the other tuner has done, and it's going to give us a way that we can very easily have the differences highlighted between the files. So this is going to be something that I use quite often, and most of the time I use it for my personal recollection of a file of what the differences were. If I maybe have two different cars I'm trying to look at files against. If I have one car that has very similar parts on it, I may go in and use this compare feature and just see what I tuned differently between the two different cars. So we have all kinds of uses that we could go in and implement the compare feature on. But the way we're going to be using this and the way that's going to be working, we're going to go here to select compare file. I'm going to go and have my file that I want to compare against. Now at the top here, I see EPA Training Rev 29. This is my 29th revision. And we're going to be looking here in my folder, and I have a whole bunch of different files here. Let's look here at the Rev 25. Now I have no idea what the differences are between these files. I know I've changed a lot of things, but I don't know exactly what I've turned on and configured and tuned and set up. So let's go here and click OK. Now the first thing we're going to notice as soon as I open the file type up, we're going to be finding down here it's in a comparison mode. Down at the bottom it's going to be red, showing compare EPA Training